Well, student, very good morning to all of you, and I hope so that you have understand the earlier introduction and 2 or 3 paragraphs of the chapter a Cambridge, a visit to a Cambridge, in which we have discussed the two disabled person. One is Firdaus Kanga, and the next a great scientist Stephen Hawking. And I have also told you that what the quality have Mr. Stephen Hawking and what kinds of quality has Mr. Firdaus Kanga, and both are connected or belongs to the different sectors of life. One where is a journalist, while the second is a great scientist, and both have a different opinion for the disabilities and for other stages of life. So student, this is an inspirational chapter in which you have to know and you have to understand that the things which has happened in our life is a sign that something is remained to do for you. It's not that the nature doesn't want that you do nothing. That means if anything happened with you, that means nature gives you a chance to do some special work which is written in your inside spirit. So student, let's discuss the rest of the paragraph, the chapter visit to Cambridge. So further, I haven't been brave, sad the disembodied computer was the next afternoon. That means when from here we are expressed from here, student, from here that I haven't been brave, shared his disembodied computer wires the next afternoon. I have had no choice. Then the next afternoon, when Firdaus Kanga met to Mr. Stephen Hawking, then Stephen Hawking said a word. It's not by his mouth. That means with the computer he said that I haven't been brave. That means student, I have told you that he has not a capability to speak of words without machine. That means what he said to the people or what he said to the another person due to the computer. That means with the help of a computer he was able to speak. So with the computer he said that I haven't been much braver. I have had no choice. Surely I wanted to say living creativity with the reality of his disintegrating body was a choice. That means further he mentioned that he had not another choice in spite of living with this disabled body. That means student, if a person haven't the much wealthy and the much healthy, then he is compelled to live a life which nature has provided. That means, and you haven't a lot of choices that you choose. So he said that he hadn't a much option to choose. But I kept quiet because I felt guilty every time I spoke to him. That means, and further, Firdaus Kanga said that when I was talking with him, I was feeling guilty. दैट मीन्स वो कहते हैं कि जितनी समय मैं उनसे बात कर रहा था मुझे एक गिल्ट फील हो रहा था, बिकॉज ही वॉज अ डिसेबल्ड पर्सन, एंड टू chat with me or to converse with me, he has taken the help of a computer, and for that he has to press a button with his feeble finger. That means his finger was not so strong that he properly press a button to command his desire or his will with the words. So what Firdaus Kanga was asking to him, he felt that he was making a guilt. There he was tapping at a little switch in his hand, trying to find a word on his long pale fingers. Every so often his eyes would shut in frustrated exhaustion, and sitting opposite him, I could feel his anguish, the mind buoyant with the thoughts that come out in a frozen freeze and sentence stiff as corpse. Buoyant here means intensely active and vibrant. That means what I have explained to you, student, that what the words or what the command he want to convey to Mr. Firdaus, he has to press a button related to the word, and for that he had to search. He had to search the button, and then he had to press with his feeble and very thin fingers. And when the machine produced a voice or the computer produced a voice, it was just like a corpse. Corpse here sense, that means student कि जब मशीन बोलता है तो उसमें कोई इमोशंस नहीं होते, उसमें टोन्स की हाई पिच टोन्स एंड लोअर पिच टोन्स इजंट मेंशन्ड. दैट मीन्स उसमें आप समझ ही नहीं पाते कि जो सब निकल रहे हैं उसमें कितना पेन है, उसमें कितना कॉन्फिडेंट है या कितना उसमें वीकनेस है, ये आप समझ ही नहीं सकते, क्योंकि मशीन बिना सेंस की आवाज़ प्रोड्यूस करती है. और हम लोग जब आवाज़ करते हैं तो हमारी आवाज़ से लगता है कि हम दुख में हैं या खुशी में हैं, बिकॉज इट्स डिपेंड ऑन द हाई पिच टोन एंड द लोअर पिच टोन्स. सो हियर Firdaus Kanga expressed that his voice, which is produced by the machine, wasn't convey that what kinds of feeling and what kinds of emotion is mentioned or mingled with his sense. Further, a lot of people seem to think that disabled people are chronically unhappy. And further, one of the most unhappier things that most of the people thinks that the person who was disabled, they thinks that they were chronical disabled. That means are chronical unhappy. That means here the chronical means what? A illness that goes to the long time. That means एक बीमारी जो लंबे समय तक जाती है उसको कहते हैं chronical unhappy. जो लोग डिसेबल्ड होते हैं वो अपने आप को क्रोनिकल बीमार मान लेते हैं. दिस इज द साइकोलॉजी ऑफ माइंड. आई सेड, हु सेड दिस? Mr. Narrator, I know that that's not true myself. Are you often laughter inside? And for that he also mentioned that whenever you think that a person are often laughing inside. About the 3 minutes later, he responded, I find it amusing when people patronize me. And after 3 minutes, Firdaus Kanga got a very pleasant response or very enthusiastic response when Stephen Hawking said that when a people think about me as a disabled, amusing, I find it amusing when people patronize me. That means when people patronize me as a disabled, I feel amusing. And do you find it annoying when someone like me comes and disturbs you in your work? And also he said that do you find it annoying when someone like me comes and disturbs you in your work? And he also mentioned that someone like me comes and always remembers me that what you are and what kinds of physical states you have. This is very ridiculous and this is very disturbing. The answer flashed, yes. Then he smiled his one way smile, and I knew, without being sentimental or silly, that I was looking at one of the most beautiful men in the world. And then he smiled. What kinds of smile they would have? Just amazing, student. That just image that what kinds of smile would have. The person who isn't capable to show his expression by the words, then what kinds of smile and what the smile conveys, what the meaning conveys. But it was sentimental, and that Firdaus Kanga understand that. And after some time, Firdaus Kanga began to think that it was a very splendid and it was a very precious time, that because is in this moment he was meeting with a people who is the most beautiful people of the world, because he was not handsome or beautiful by physical appearance, but or in spite of the mental, that he was the most beautiful person by mental in this world. And this is a remarkable time for Firdaus Kanga. Now, the first glimpse of him is shocking because he is like a still photograph. And Firdaus Kanga further mentioned that when he met with Mr. Stephen Hawking, and when he saw him at first time, he just looked like a photograph because he was motionless, just sitting on a chair and not moving in any part of his body. Particularly his legs were out of work, and hand, the fingers was thin and weak, and his voice, you know that without machine he couldn't be able to speak a words. So it just looked like a picture, as if all those pictures of him in magazine and newspaper have turned 3 dimensions. And also he mentioned that his picture is just like a picture of a magazine, of a newspaper, which is 3-dimensional. You can fold him with 3-dimensional, and this way he was sitting on the chair. So student, you can understand that here the narrator used 3-dimensional. 3-dimensional, that means one of his dimension couldn't be seen due to the chair. Now student, then you see the head twisted sideways into a slump, the torso shrunk inside the pale blue shirt. Then when you see him, you can see that his head was just shrunk inside his blue collar shirt. And here the pale blue collar shirt, that means the neck was thin and it was just sunk inside his collar. The wasted legs was wasted. That means walkless. This is not in active moment. You look at his eyes, which can speak, but his eyes was live. His life was saying many things that you have to just understand that what the words, what the message, what the ideas conveyed by his eyes. Because eyes were speaking. Still, they are saying something huge and urgent, and it feels that his eyes were saying something urgent and something exciting, something huge. It's hard to tell what, but it's hard to tell what. That means what the masses, what the ideas, what the sense was giving by his eyes. But it was sure that his eyes were saying something, and you have to just understand the words of eyes, the sense of eyes. But you are shaken because you have been something you never thought could be seen. But you are shaken, but you would be shocked. आप हिल जाओगे क्योंकि you have been something you never thought could be seen. आप कुछ ऐसा देख रहे हो जिसको आपने पहले कभी देखा ही ना हो. That means you are watching a person who is completely disabled but gripped by his capabilities, gripped by his ability. And you never think that you would be seeing a man like this or like him. So this is amazing. So student, I hope so that you will be getting the sense and the words which is inside the given words, or the meaning which is given inside the words, and you get some lesson from this chapter. And if you have any doubt, then you definitely can ask me. Okay student, the next paragraph will be explained after this class. Thank you.